here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we have Rachel Taylor, lead singer for the band He Is We. We had actually planned to do this conversation in person a month or so ago in Salt Lake City, but unfortunately Rachel was having some vocal cord issues in the moment and we weren't able to make it happen. However, now may actually be a better time to talk because over the course of the last month, He Is We has dropped a new EP called Hold My Heart, which is available on iTunes and everywhere great music is sold. Additionally, the band has booked an international summer tour spanning sea to shining sea in the U.S., beginning in their more or less hometown of Seattle and taking them all the way to jolly old England and back again. With all that said, and without further ado, meet our guest, Rachel Taylor. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hello.
And thank you for coming on and making time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we were stoked to make this work.
Guys.
So as we alluded to in the title, we had actually come to a He Is We show. They were playing with a band called Vendetta Red, who we actually did end up interviewing that day. So if people go back and listen to the episode, they can catch the interview with Vendetta Red. But we had actually come out to meet with He Is We. However, poor Rachel was having some vocal difficulties that day and had been rushed to the ER on the day that we were supposed to meet.
Yeah, you were kind of having a rough time at that show. Was that kind of wrapping up the tour, or was that just kind of an off night?
So, yeah, that happens every single tour. I can't think of one musician that has made the drive from, to Seattle to, I'd have to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've done a little bit of time on the road with some different bands I've managed in the past. And yeah, I mean, if there's one thing you get, it's sick just about every time. And for the vocalist, it's got to be extra hard.
Yeah, I don't even like just doing a show a day and trying to stay on top of everything. You know, Ryan Caraveo had the same issue. He was having, his throat was bugging him right before his set, and must be the Salt Lake air.
Yeah, I think it's the going up and down and up, like the altitude stuff.
I think you're right.
I sound like I'm in the midst of puberty.
Cool. Well, so to give a little background on He Is We, the band is out of sort of northern Washington, correct?
Yes.
And so where did you guys start from? And can you give us a little background on the band, where you came from, how you found your way into the music biz?
Yeah. So I used to skip class a lot. And
high school time frame.
Oh yeah. Like, and I would teach myself how to play guitar, and I would do that in the locker room. And I remember my friends freaking out over different bands that were coming into town and stuff like that. And I told them, not to idolize the person, but understand that he was we. And like, I said it, and then I said it again, and like I really meant it. And then the name He Is We.
And the name just sort of stuck.
Huh.
Born, yeah. And then
was this was up in the San Juans, right? Up Friday Harbor area.
So this happened like 2005. And then He Is We released music officially around 2008, 2009.
Okay, so you're from the San Juan areas, and is it Travis or Trevor?
Trevor.
Yeah. He's from Tacoma, and you guys met at work down in Tacoma, correct?
Oh yeah,
okay.
It was after I graduated high school, barely graduated, and then moved to good old Tacoma.
What brought you down there? Just change of pace, get away from...
So my dad was doing military stuff in Tacoma.
Oh, okay. So, what's the name of that base there? Fort McCord or whatever, McCord Air Force Base.
Yeah, there's Fort Lewis and then McCord.
Yeah.
So Dad was doing some man army stuff in Tacoma. Yeah, and he had recently arrived back from Iraq, and he was leaving again.
Okay. So you just stuck down in Tacoma, and that's where you met Trevor at?
Oh, yeah.
So how long had you guys been kind of working together before you guys joined up and formed He Is We? So 2008 when you released your first album, right? Kind of that time frame?
Yeah. So he and we started working together, and then I told him the name that I had come up with because we had come confused. I told him the name I came up with in high school. And, I mean, we were just kind of BSing at work. And I don't know how we didn't get fired. We were just like, most of the huge songs were written at work.
So you guys just kind of jam around, and then you kind of ended up coming. Was My Forever the first album you guys released?
Released, yeah.
Okay.
Was My Forever record, and then everything else was just kind of like accidentally released. Like MySpace days released.
I remember the MySpace days. Did you use the bots to get started? I used to promote with those things. I would just send thousands of MySpace friend requests or whatever out via bot and wouldn't even care who it was going to.
We were not smart enough for that at all.
Well, so in terms of getting a band started, back in 2008, MySpace was obviously a good channel, Facebook, things like that. How do you promote the band now? Like, what do you do? The social media landscape has changed a little bit. Obviously, MySpace is long gone. Mm-hmm. But luckily you guys were able to get in early and get some notoriety online from that. From what we could tell, it looks like you sort of still gain a lot of success and a lot of attention through social media. What are your preferred channels, and how do you do that?
Ooh, I like Instagram.
Yeah,
a lot.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's funny. That's like the one channel that I use too.
I love it because they can tag me. I can tag them. I can immediately see the photos from the show or whatever. And I'm sorry, I was up with my dog. I got a new puppy, and my puppy is like doesn't know when to stop pooping.
Gotta love puppies.
So, he's perfect.
What kind of dog is he?
German Shepherd Golden Retriever mix.
Oh, I haven't seen a mix between
that's
those
an interesting
two.
mix. I had a German Shepherd, and she was the bomb.
So,
he's perfect, but he just won't stop.
So after your first album in 2010, My Forever, how long did it take for that to gain some traction and you guys to kind of, I mean, you played a sold-out show here in Salt Lake, and you're from Seattle. I mean, it's got to be weird to come on the road and have, sold-out venues and screaming fans singing along with your stuff. How long did it take from like 2010 till, was it like 4 or 5 years before you were starting to get some traction behind it?
Yeah. Or? It all happened really fast. Like, everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
So, like, by the time that My Forever was coming out, like, I Wouldn't Mind was already starting to, like, gain a lot of traction. And then All About Us, and then Happily Ever After. Like, all of these songs just kind of came out of nowhere and attacked fans. So it happened really, really fast.
Can you identify like a moment somewhere along the way that was sort of a
pinnacle moment?
Yeah, big break maybe. The thing that sort of took you from the band jamming behind the Ted Brown to, finally playing your
Yeah.
first show?
We went on tour with our buddies in a giant Suburban. And I remember, it was so ghetto, but it was my ghetto, and I loved it. And so we ended up going on tour, and I had never done a tour in my life.
How many shows was that first tour? Was it?
Oh God, it was huge shows on the West Coast. But I remember the first time that someone looked at me and they were like, "You're from He Is We," and I responded back with, "Oh my God," and I covered my face and I ran. So I think that was the moment that I was like, "Oh,
people know me."
This is getting bigger than just your dad being proud of you."
Yeah, well, and that's got to be a cool feeling too, and I'm sure you get it a lot more now as you're a lot more well known.
Yeah.
But when you come into town and you actually see folks lining up for you and people who are grateful to see you, that's got to be kind of a surreal feeling.
Oh yeah, pretty. I can't stop yawning. I just feel so relaxed with you guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
No
My
worries.
bad. Oh.
So from your first tour in the back of the Suburban, you guys obviously gain a little traction and a little steam while you're out on the road. Where to from there? Have you had a moment in your career where you were, I don't know, discovered by the big celebrity or put on the exciting new tour? Is there some highlight that you can point to that sort of transitioned you from maybe being, I don't know, a garage band or a small band to, a different level of success than you were used to?
Okay. So this is between us and who.
Okay.
We're all friends here.
I remember being on tour, and it was very, very early on, and the Justin Bieber movie came out.
Okay.
And I got my guys and I all free tickets because I convinced the movie theater that we were a much bigger deal than we were. And then we show up to the movie and we're like, "Oh my God, we got in. We're a bunch of liars." And we sat in the theater by ourselves and our song came on.
In the theater?
In the theater.
Oh, that had to be weird.
And I remember looking and being like, "Oh my God, they know. They know that we lied. They're playing a joke on us.
They're just playing it to make fun of you."
Yeah, they're teaching us a freaking lesson. And it ended up being we were a featured artist. So
that has to be so surreal.
Justin Bieber.
How funny.
Yeah. It was insane. I was in the bathroom, and I remember because it was and this is new music by He Is We, and I am mid bathroom break, and I jump up and I sprint out to my guys. And the first thing that one of them asked me was, "Did I wash my hands?" And I yelled out, I was like, "Are you high? Listen, this is us." And then we just we had a moment of, I think we chanted Bieber.
So I think if I'm not being too presumptuous or reading through the lines here, I guess Justin Bieber is to thank for your success.
Justin Bieber is always to thank.
Yeah, no, that does have to be a cool moment though, to hear your music featured someplace, or the first time you heard it on the radio, maybe. Yeah, it seems
the weirdest feeling ever.
Yeah, it seems like those moments have to be really cool, but they also have to be really, I don't know, affirming. Hey, we thought we were good, and this sort of proves it.
It was strange because I just kept thinking, "Oh my God, we tricked all these people into thinking that, like, we deserve to be on the radio. Like, that's all I kept thinking. I was like, what happens when they find out that we're not famous? What happens? Like, they're going to take us off the radio. So, like, that's generally what I think. Each time that a new song of He Is We is, like, featured somewhere or something like that, I think my brain immediately goes to, like, that guy that farts in an elevator. Where it's like, please don't tell him, please don't tell him, please don't tell him. Like, they don't know.
Oh, that's amazing. So what time frame was this? Was this like a few years after that first album, or like is this kind of, you know, down the road a ways?
The Justin Bieber thing?
Yeah, the Justin Bieber thing.
Oh, that was like all within a few weeks.
Oh,
like,
really?
Releasing, yeah.
Wow.
It happened so fast.
So, were you with like a record label at the time, or was this all independent?
This was with Universal Motown.
Oh, okay, nice.
And then, ended up being Universal Republic.
Is that the same label you've been with since day one, or have you guys kind of?
We've done a lot of like jumping around, but He Is We has stayed on Universal, and now we're doing this independently, which I'm stoked on.
Well, yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that, the difference between label and independent. I think a lot of people, you know, anybody that's paid attention to the music business has seen that it's evolved a lot over time. And, you know, maybe the importance of the major label isn't quite as big as it once was. Talk about, since you've sort of seen both sides, let's talk a little bit about the differences, you know, what you found in major label support versus indie label support, and just how that works, you know, for your band specifically.
I would say okay, so a label is essentially a bank. Like, they will fund everything, and unfortunately, like,
they want you to pay it back.
Oh my word. And not only do you pay it back, but like, you pay it back with your firstborn. Like, it is intense. So you end up in a situation where it's like, oh, you know, and after you recoup, you can get, you know, this amount of money, that amount of money. But the way that it's structured, you generally don't recoup. So you end up just never
making any money off of it.
Any money.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess then, and this is maybe one of the big benefits of the indie labels, right, is I feel like the deals are maybe structured a little better for the artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that's your experience too?
Yeah, it's less of a bank situation and more of like a family friend who loaned you money.
There you go.
So it's a very different relationship for sure.
So this EP, Hold My Heart, is 100% on your own kind of indie.
Yeah, there's no label at all. It's completely independent.
Did you do the recording yourself? Did you go through a studio and work with someone, or?
Went through a studio in Cincinnati. And it was really, really cool. But it was super fun.
Well, that's got to be fun. I listened to
it was different.
Yeah, I listened to like Dear Adam and Every Other Man and a few other one of the tracks today, and I really it was really well produced and a little different from some of the other stuff I've heard. The last time I saw you was just you and an acoustic guitar, and this had a full band, which was kind of fun. So are you going to be touring with the full band on this upcoming tour, or is it just
yes?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I'm super stoked because I think I can play pretty much any song.
That's great. So will you, on this coming tour, you know, we sort of teased it at the beginning of the tour, but it starts in Seattle, and you actually come back through Salt Lake City in July, which is kind of exciting. We'll have to get out and catch you.
Yeah.
But Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to prepare for this tour? So you're taking out a whole band, which I guess means you need to, arrange the setup a little different, travel situation, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm super stoked. I get to grab my passport for this. A lot of it is like vocally getting ready and emotionally getting ready to meet so many different kinds of people, because a lot of people kind of forget that part where, I'm a sensitive human. And so when I'm going and I'm meeting people from all different walks of life, that energy, it reaches me, it touches me, and I absorb it. Like, it's the energy is what really either feeds me or depletes me.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I'll do vocal warm-ups, financially everything will be set, but nothing can really get me ready for the emotional roller coaster I'm about to go on.
Yeah, that's got to be a tricky aspect to...
Intense. Oh, yeah. It's super intense. And so I've kind of developed this system where I at least have one person in the vehicle that, like, I can talk to about absolutely everything.
Just a really close friend that you're always there with.
Yeah. That I can kind of bounce stuff off of and kind of check myself. I'll ask, what did I snap? Did I seem, this way or that way? And, I will go to this person to kind of, to keep me in check if I'm emotionally just exhausted.
Well, I think that's really smart and also really self-aware. I think a lot of people, rock stars and musicians are sort of given a pass to behave however they feel like behaving or whatever on the road, especially.
Yeah.
And so for you to be so introspective seems kind of, I don't know, like a departure. Like, it's actually kind of refreshing, to know that you really do care, that you've done a good show and that you care about the way you treated the fans or whomever you come across.
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really good. I can't tell you the number of venues we went through where the promoter would come to us and be like, "Hey, God, you wouldn't believe what the guy last night did," or whatever. Right. Like, it's, I don't know, kind of refreshing to hear that from you.
Well, and the thing is, though, is it came with, I had to learn that I can't do stuff by myself. I had to learn that the hard way.
Well,
and so I had to biff it a few times, and then learn.
I'm a DJ, and I do some shows here and there, and I never really, to me, being a DJ, it's like playing around in my bedroom, just throwing songs in here and there, no big deal, and then all of a sudden I'm in front of people. And I never really realized that people were watching what I was doing until there was this. I showed up to work one day at this venue that I used to work at, and the owner tells me that they're closing the venue that day, and that I have to get all my gear out and all this crap. And so I was in this bad mood to start with, and this girl came up with a request, and she had the request list, and I took it from her and I threw it across the room. And I was just like, I was just in a bad headspace. I just found out I'm losing my job. I still had to work that night. And I didn't really think about it, the effect of, what my actions of throwing the request list across the room would have on this girl, let alone anyone else that was there. And 6 months later, I'm at this venue in Anacortes at the Brown Lantern. I don't know if you've ever been there. But I was there, and this kid came up, and he's like, "Dude, I saw you 6 months ago. It was the most epic thing ever. You took this request list and threw it across the room. It was amazing." And I was,
my God.
And me, I never thought of it like, holy crap, there's other people watching what I'm doing. I can't do stuff like this, And it was a real eye opener for me. Like, you can't just be the asshole you want to be.
You can't just be shitty, Mike.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
true.
little experiences like that you know, it's kind of like you learn as you go, and it's hard to sit back and think like of all the stuff we messed up on and all the stuff, you know, like so it's,
well, and I think what Rachel just said a minute ago is really the key, right? That she had gone out, biffed it a few times, but then learned from the experience. I think so many people nowadays, you know, biff it and either won't admit that was, you know, that they had, you know, eaten crap that night, or they, you know, won't take anything from that experience. You know, like in Mike's example here, you know, it might have taken him 6 months to make that realization, but when he did, it for sure changed the way he interacted with his you know, I don't know what they're called, fans or people watching him perform.
Well,
and I'm sure in your case, Rachel, it's the same. You know, the way you treat a promoter, the way you treat a radio guy, the way you treat you know, somebody at the venue, a fan, you know, somebody who's come to see you or whatever. The way that you manage people's feelings, you know, in addition to managing your own and taking care of yourself, has got to be, you know, quite the tightrope to walk.
Because you have to really, like, you pull in the reins as far as, like, you're making sure everyone around you is emotionally okay. But then on top of it, you're also combating whatever rumors might be out there.
Yeah.
You're combating, you know, what it is that may be being said about you. So you have to not only control the people that are, like, directly in front of you that are having an emotional response, but then you're also combating the people that you see on Twitter or Instagram.
Do you just kind of tune that out now? I mean, because there's got to be a point where you get to it and it's just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to live my life as, like, an angry person, so I have to kind of do, like, it's like selective hearing, you know?
Well, yeah, because you don't want to miss the positive statements either. You know, I mean, and a place like Twitter would be a good place for a fan to reach out to you or something. And so you don't want to miss their positivity, but it is hard when you have to wade through, you know, people who are just being assholes also. So. Oh, yeah.
Well, and I had to tell a couple fans, you know, they were like, you know, whether it was Twitter, Facebook, but, you know, I messaged you and this and that. And the thing is it's like I have to tell them, hey, when I'm on tour, I don't read anything because I just want to meet you guys and to spend time with you, and I don't want anything to mess it up. Like, I would rather be in the here and the now rather than focusing on... I don't know.
Yeah, like, whatever went on in the past. Well, and I think, you know, one dynamic, too, that a lot of fans don't have a good understanding for or are very sympathetic for is the sort of the relationship within the band, too. You know, you're almost like siblings when you're on the road and living in an RV or whatever together. And, you know, so you've got all these different personalities that you're dealing with before you even get to the fans. And, you know, they may have read that shitty Twitter comment or whatever, and they might be experiencing it one way. And so you're trying to manage their feelings, your own feelings, all that before you even set stage. And now it's on you to entertain the people. And so...
it makes me want to punch myself. Because it's a lot, and it's sad. But, you know, I've had to talk with, you know, the people I love and the people that love me about how I understand why people get into, you know, the drugs and the crazy scene. And I mean, when you live a life it's pretty easy to become delusional. You know, drugs aren't that far-fetched. Like, you look at it, and it's like you live a life where people kind of convince you that you're invincible. You know, nothing can touch what you're doing in this life.
Well, and then it's further reinforced, too, by the fans who've come to see you, and you're the special person up on a platform. And, you know, it's difficult to kind of keep it real, I guess, you know, because it can easily go to your head.
Well, and that's why I just don't, like, I won't allow my guys on the road and stuff. We don't mess with alcohol or anything like that.
That's probably...
Because it's not worth it, man.
So one thing I've noticed is whenever I have, like, those dark moments, the ones that, you know, you look back on and you're like, what the hell did I just do? Or why did I do this or whatever? It's usually alcohol related. and I've kind of come to the realization that it's just not worth it anymore. You know, it's not worth the hangover. It's not worth the hearing about it later. It's not worth the, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I'd rather not have to explain myself for my guys.
It's fun at the time, you know, but but when
but the consequences generally outweigh the fun time.
So,
I'd rather not.
Yeah. Well, and that's good, and especially because I mean, I have to imagine, and Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would guess that your demo, like the people who sort of are the biggest fans of He Is We, are probably younger kids. You know, I mean, we saw at the show in Salt Lake, and granted, our experience with you was limited, but you know, a lot of the fans were younger. The show here in Salt Lake, anyway, was at an all ages venue. And, you know, it's difficult in the music business to find somebody who would actually make a decent role model. But a lot of these kids do look up to musicians and their favorite bands and things like that. And for you guys to have sort of a stance on drug and alcohol use where you don't let that be sort of part of your persona, which is so common now, I think is, you know, really encouraging or really positive for younger people who are still sort of trying to find their own voice or find their own way. And, you know, maybe listening to your music.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Is that why Salt Lake? Because we have a freakishly decent, great following in Salt Lake. And I've been trying to figure out why.
You know, I don't know what it is. My experience in Salt Lake, because the bands that we used to tour with all played through here and all had great success in Salt Lake too. I think part of it is that this is the nearest large market for a lot of, large-ish market for a lot of cities in this region. And so I think a lot of fans come in from different places. So like when I was a kid, I used to drive from Idaho into Utah for concerts and stuff all the time. You know, there's a pretty, you know, good number of people here in this valley, but in sort of the surrounding states, there's not a lot of big cities. You know, maybe the next biggest is like Boise, and it's 5 hours away, 6 hours away. Vegas is 6 hours away. You know, so if you want to go to a concert and you want to see your favorite band, you know, odds are if you live anywhere in this sort of region, you're coming to Salt Lake to see it. And I think that the type of fan that might come to, you know, drive 2.5 hours to come see you is likely going to be a little bit more dedicated than your guy in LA who is inundated with millions of, you know, bands coming through all the time. You know, and so and I don't know. I mean, like, I obviously don't have any science on this, but that's what I've always sort of assumed is what's going on here in Salt Lake, because people here are just hardcore. They're into their music, they're into their bands and stuff, and generally come out and support pretty well. But I think that's what it is that it's, you know, sort of a large city surrounded by lots of little cities.
So I should move there.
Well, I will tell you this much. I mean, we moved down here from Idaho 6 years ago, and what I've found is that being in Salt Lake City, I can get to any city in the West in about an hour and a half by air, and I can fly direct to Europe. I can fly direct to New York. I can fly direct to Miami. All that stuff right from here in sunny Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
and
you should be a salesperson.
Yeah, right. Well, these are the things that I've found. I mean, I'm sure you don't know anything about me, but I run an advertising agency. I work in marketing and advertising, and you know, so that's important for me. I mean, we run an agency that we have an office in Barcelona, and we're based here in Salt Lake. And we go to all the cities in the West, you know, with some regularity, you know, in search of business or going on pitches and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but like, I can literally set a meeting for later this afternoon in LA and be there. You know what I mean? So it's pretty.
Are you hiring?
Yeah, right.
Because what?
Well, it's pretty slick though, and so I mean, you joke about moving here, but you know, in terms of conquering the West, it's not a bad central location.
That is dope. I'm gonna have to talk to my dog about it.
Yeah, see if he's cool with it.
Oh, well, your dog might be into it, you know, with all the mountains and the trails and all the hiking and outdoor crap here.
His name is Bear.
See,
it's perfect. He'll fit right in.
It's like it's meant to be.
Love a mountain.
So,
love a mountain.
So being from the San Juans, not trying to change it up. Did you ever play with or know the guys in the Lonely Forest?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was going to marry John.
That's cool.
I was, like, convinced.
I've never actually seen him play. Every time they come to Anacortes, it's a sold-out show, though. It's crazy. So.
Yeah, no, they're brilliant. John's one of the greatest, like, songwriter storytellers. Like, ever. He's brilliant.
Have you ever
brilliant.
jammed with
And
him
he's
at
so
all,
good
or
live.
just seen him?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would love if our voices made a baby. I love his voice is pretty phenomenal.
Well, so speaking of interesting or songwriters that you admire, are there any musical influences that you can point to that might have steered you in the direction you've gone? Any inspiration out there?
I mean, I listen to a lot of weird stuff, man.
Well, we were listening to an interview of yours earlier, and you said that one of your things that would be awesome would be like a fly on the wall on the NWA's recording sessions. And I didn't see you being into NWA and I can't even talk. I can't even say NWA.
That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't see you being into that. You know, it doesn't seem like your thing.
That's hilarious to me because if you were to get into my car right this second, you would hear some of the most foul and heinous rap music. Disgusting. Just, it's bad.
Cardi B on repeat.
I'm serious. I have Cardi B. I have a mix called Dentist Mix because when I'm at the dentist, like, I have to listen to music or else I assume they're drilling into my head. Like, I freak out. So I created a mix, and it's Cardi B, Kevin Gates, The Game, Lil Wayne, like...
all the stuff you want to say while he's drilling into your tooth and you just can't.
I guess, man. Like, it just makes me feel hard. Like, I feel... I don't know. I watch a lot of, like, Lock Up Raw. You know, a lot of prison shows.
Yeah.
And so
living vicariously through the gangsters.
Yeah, man. It's hard out here.
Should we expect a new hip hop album coming up next?
Oh yeah. I mean, what's funny is I did prank an old manager. I produced a track and then I rapped and sang the hook. And
this is our new single. Let's go with it. Just as a joke.
I was just like, hey, I was like, we've taken taken a turn. You know, I'm still going to be storytelling, but
in a different rate.
Going to be.
Now we're talking about our time growing up in the hood.
Voice. Oh yeah,
oh, how funny.
Mean, the streets of the San Juans are very.
They're hard.
Yeah, nobody realized how sketchy it was over there, but.
Well, you did spend some time in Tacoma, so I mean, you're good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've got some street cred.
Tacoma, dude, to Compton.
Yeah. What part of Tacoma are you in?
So there's the Tacoma Mall.
Yeah.
And then there's where I lived. So I lived between the Tacoma Mall and Pack Ave.
Okay, I know where that's at.
Between. It's a neighborhood, unfortunately, where there's like a biker bar, and then there's the kind of the line where the gangs.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah. See, so don't let anyone tell you don't have the street cred.
Well, I used to do.
I do. I definitely do have it. I mean, you don't see guns and not freak out until. Well, first of all, my parents were law enforcement growing up. But, like, I remember having a dude, like, I've been held up at gunpoint a couple times.
Really?
So, yeah, man.
Wow.
Like, it's funny, but, like, people don't realize, like, I've been punched in the face. I'm punched in the face. Like, I used to get into a bunch of fights and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, Tacoma was the first time I'd ever seen a dude get, like, I mean, really stabbed bad, like, messed up.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, like, I lived in Hilltop for a little bit, right? Literally looking on the bay in Tacoma, and I can't remember what street it was on, but
yeah,
it was like what's it? The Swiss? Do you know where the Swiss is? It's a music venue there. I was like, 2.5 blocks up from there, so it wasn't that far from there. Yeah, so pretty crazy. Anyways,
you know what's up.
yeah, Tacoma's it's got its parts.
So I wanted to ask you, just talking about switching venues and street cred, when we were doing research for this, and feel free to, if you don't want to talk about this, let me know. But you created an album, or you put out a solo project called She Is We, and you made this album called War.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I love it. First of all, I really, really enjoyed it. And so, but it's a complete departure from the He Is We stuff. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what motivated you to do that solo album
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that He Is We, I could still use the name.
On your own, so you kind of did your own thing, thinking you couldn't.
So when I was being told, like, you know, you'll never get He Is We, and, you know, keep trying, blah, blah, blah. Like, it kind of turned into, like, if you could take the middle finger and put it in a bold font, you know, throw some glitter at it, like, light it on fire. Like, that was what I was doing.
So,
because for me, it was like, all right, I can't have He Is We. Like,
because the label had it signed, right? And that's why you changed it to She Is We, just to...
It was actually because of Trevor. Trevor wouldn't allow me to record under the name He Is We.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's pretty common in the music business. You know, when you enter into a partnership, somebody can hold on to it or whatever.
But what's funny is he and I never actually signed for a partnership.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
So
well, I've got to tell you, though, like, sort of in the context of, you know, society right now, you know, a title like, or a name like She Is We, and then the title of the album is War. I mean, it seems like really woman power, like kind of strong, you know. I mean, it's a cool thing, you know. I mean, I really enjoyed the music on it, for one, but it is edgy. It is kind of, you know, woman powery. And so,
well, and it's funny because I'm not, like, I had zero intention of it being woman powery. It was more of a, like, I can't use He Is We. Well, I'm a girl, and if we just put an S in front of that bad boy,
problem solved.
Yeah. Well, I just love it, and I would encourage people to go check it out. It is a edgier side of Rachel than you get in a lot of the He Is We stuff. And but speaking about He Is We stuff, let's talk a little bit about the new album. You know, the latest release, you know, if you were trying to explain the band or this new album to somebody who's never heard you before, how would you describe the type of music and the album itself, sort of the inspiration behind the album?
The EP?
Yeah, the new EP, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like how do I explain it? It's so hard to explain. It's all the things I didn't say that I wish I had.
Like in the first few albums, you just kind of, everything you wish you could say, you just put out in this EP?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the stuff that happened while I was busy touring. Like, these are the emotions that I had to go through, and I never got a chance to actually, like, experience them, digest them, and then let them go.
Right. So the title, I guess, Hold My Heart, maybe is leaning or sort of suggesting that these are emotions that, you know, you were sort of fighting with, and this was finally your excuse to put them out.
Holding My Heart it's what I used to ask the fans to do. Like, when I was on tour, if I was nervous on stage, I would actually, like, verbally ask them to hold my heart. Like, that was how I was like, oh my goodness, I need to be careful. Like, I'm starting to get anxiety. Like, all right, everyone, hold my heart. Like, it was just something that I had said, and then it kind of became this, like,
mantra.
Yeah, sort of the
a mantra of sorts, where, like, instead of asking people, like, hey, would you pray for me? Or, hey, do you want to grab coffee and talk? It was very much like, Like, I would much rather you have the hands to hold my heart. I'd rather find the hands to hold my heart.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's a nice metaphor for sort of, I don't know, talking about emotional struggle and trying to work through a situation or something and having the support of others to get through it. I think it's a really smart title.
So,
well, when you're shaking, you want hands that are steady.
Yeah. So do you still have a kind of an issue with just performing in general? Do you still get nervous to the point where it kind of almost debilitative at times, or is it more?
It's usually after I perform. So it's really funny. On stage, it's like when I get that microphone, that stage is no one can hurt me.
Yeah.
It's afterwards when I'm actually meeting everyone and I'm at the merch table and like suddenly everyone's staring at me and I'm staring at them. Like,
well, now you're the center of attention and everyone wants the photo and everyone wants this and that's got to be weird. Like
terrifying.
So I don't know if it's the fact that we're doing this podcast or if we're doing, or if something's changing on my end. But last show I did, I had a chick sitting there with her phone and recording me. And I've never had that happen before. And it just weirded me out. And I'm just playing someone else's tunes. I'm not even playing a guitar or anything. It's like she's sitting there holding her phone up for 3 minutes of me just playing someone else's music. And I don't know what to do. I've waved a few times and and it's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine having 100 people in line wanting to take a photo of me, it's
weird.
It's got to be weird. So
I remember the first time I was recognized in a mall. I
know her.
I ran. And I remember the friend I was with, you need to go back. And I was like, hell no, no, I don't. Nope. I am freaking good.
So
and
it's only after you're done on stage that you start getting nervous. Do you get the pre-show jitters at all, or is it just
No.
Huh.
No.
Yeah,
Before the show, it's very much if we mess up,
who cares?
We mess up. And I will on stage, I'll say, there it is, everyone. We're human.
Yeah.
I always if I do something where the music stops, I always get on the mic, and that's what happens when I hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
Well, there's something. Yeah, I've met other musicians and other singers who sort of experience what you do. I think a little bit of it is, it's kind of go time. When it's time to get on stage, you're there to do a job. These people are depending on you, and you are able to rise to the occasion. But when it's over with and you have a minute to think about what just happened, it's kind of the shock or the surprise or the, whatever emotions you were able to suspend when you got on stage, then come rushing back. And so I love this Hold My Heart idea. That's kind of a fun way of dealing with that.
So is there a reason you only did the EP versus a full length, or is it just something you had a few songs you wanted to get out real quick and just,
I think it's the process, it's kind of dipping my toes back in. This was really emotional because He Is We hasn't released anything in a very long time, new stuff as far as new. So it was really emotional. The idea of, I didn't think I would be able to do that ever again.
That's cool.
He Is We stuff ever again. So I wanted to start with the EP, kind of reintroduce myself, because it's not that I went anywhere, but I certainly took a journey along the way.
Yeah. So the singles are All I Need and Every Other Man. Can you talk a little bit about either one, sort of the inspiration behind it, or what led you to write those songs?
Yeah. So All I Need is essentially a PowerPoint presentation on how to marry me.
Okay. Take notes.
It's pretty...
Just play in a band called Lonely Forest.
Forward. I mean, that's
it's a short
start,
song,
man.
really short song. So,
It's so short. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what it is it's like, I don't know. I kind of looked at online dating, and I was just mortified at how easy it was to create a list for yourself of like, hi, I'm Rachel. I'm allergic to gluten. My parents are safe.
Well,
So am I. Like,
it's almost like you're selling a used car, but it's you, and you're like trying
Yeah.
to you're kicking the tires,
that
looking for
used
the
car.
positive stuff instead of all the dents and the
Yeah.
bad crap.
trying to convince people how
Like-
great. Yeah.
I'm a lemon with nice interior. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
And so therein lies freaking all I need. Which was, if I ever have the opportunity to do a key change in a song, I'm gonna do it. And I did it in All I Need, and it felt amazing.
That's cool.
So All I Need it's a fun one. Every Other Man, however, is my favorite one.
What's that? You're just calling everyone out.
It's my heart finally it went from like angry and hurt to hurt and like confused, and kind of caught me talking through it. That song kind of it's the in between. That moment where you go from like angry to sad to healed, and that little point between sad and healed is where I was.
So have you found when you
Go ahead.
write, is this sort of part of your normal writing process? The ability to sort of tap into your emotions and really sort of speak from where you're at in that moment.
I have to.
I think that authenticity that sort of comes naturally when you do that really helps some of these songs, sing, for lack of a better word.
Oh, I can't imagine doing it any other way. I don't understand where the healing comes if you're not doing that.
So is
So-
Dear Adam really Dear Steve, but you changed the name? Or you know what I mean? Like, are you writing about someone specifically in that song, and you just kind of,
Yes,
Dear
I
John.
am. My dad wanted me to change the name to Dear You, but I liked how direct the name was.
Oh, so Adam's
And
the actual dude.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I was going to say, or is this one of those moments, where you never really know who it is, who's
I
so
mean,
vague?
it's to an actual dude, yes.
Okay.
But it's a huge apology. Like, I couldn't write a letter. I couldn't do it the old school way, so I decided to do it the only way that I knew how.
Well, I mean, that's so cool to me, because believe me, I have a few dear someones that I'd like to put out there.
Well, apparently the new school way of telling them you're sorry is in song.
Well, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start making notes and get my 3-chord progressions figured out.
It's pretty intense, but then after it's done, there's this like breath of relief that came over me, and I was like, oh my God, I did it.
Yeah.
I made amends with myself in this situation. I was able to forgive myself.
Yeah, I've got to admit that the sort of catharsis that you're experiencing from writing these songs and really tapping into your emotion. I mean, for me, it's super impressive. Like, I think that's a really healthy way of dealing with an emotion and really just kind of putting a pin in it and being done. I had this problem. It was weighing on me, but I verbalized it. I got it out, and now I can move past it. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do with your music. And like I said before, I think it really lends to the authenticity of things.
So
Thank you very much.
Have you played any of these songs out? Have you it's brand new release, have you been able to perform any of them for people yet?
On tour, I was able to play All I Need Is Every Other Man live.
Were you getting good response and reception out of it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. People started to learn the song All I Need really quickly. Like by the second chorus they were singing.
That's
awesome. It was
awesome.
Amazing.
That's got to be cool.
But Every Other Man, it was pretty phenomenal because we would be in these venues and people would be, talking and yelling and having their own, they're carrying on. And then Every Other Man, there would be complete silence.
Just listening to the words,
And that was, as a songwriter, that's that like proud mommy moment. It's like, oh my God, like they want to hear the stories, they want to hear the words, and it's
Do you have that one song that you can just stop singing the chorus or the verse and they'll sing every word that you're not singing? Is there one in your album that stands out?
Is there one? What do you mean that's already been released, or one
in your whole catalog? One song in particular that, like, if you start singing it and you stop, they'll continue. Is there? Because
Happily Ever After, I wouldn't mind. Is like the big one. All About Us, Blame It on the Rain. That one is a fun one.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Do.
Well, hey, I want to ask you
yeah.
one more thing before we wrap up here. Any big plans for this coming tour? What are you looking most forward to? Any firsts coming up?
Have you ever been to the UK before?
Never for He Is We stuff. Never have I ever been to Europe for He Is We stuff. So this is going to be frickin' fun. As far as Bruce and stuff like that go, I'm really excited to come up with the full band live show.
That would be fun.
Probably going to do some fun, weird little surprises throughout the performance. So I'm excited to start picking their brains and to start creating my vision.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, and I guess you're rehearsing now, right? This thing kicks off here pretty quick.
Yeah, so we're creating everything now. The songs are being learned and then.
Okay, and your first show is June 1st in Seattle is where this tour kicks off. Rachel, where is the best spot for fans and listeners of this show and everything to catch up with you guys online so they can sort of follow along with the tour and everything else that's coming up?
Oh, friggin' Facebook and Instagram. Like, find me on Instagram.
I know that. Like, I follow you on Instagram, and I saw some of the recording sessions when you were out doing that, and it was a lot of fun. You're good about live broadcasting and putting things out on Facebook and stuff. It's a lot of fun to sort of follow along.
Your Facebook is /HeIsWe_official. So
yes.
And we'll make sure that all that stuff ends up in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
So, any last things, Rachel? Parting shots? Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, you guys rock, and I hope to get my Salt Lake City mug when I move there.
All right, well, maybe we'll bring it to you. So,
Perfect.
Cool. Well, sounds great. So, everybody, again, the band is He Is We. The new EP dropped April 10th is called Hold My Heart with the new singles All I Need and Every Other Man, as well as a bunch of other great stuff. Our guest, Rachel Taylor, is awesome. Go check her out. You can see a lot of her music all over the place, and you can find the album anywhere music is sold. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's in all the usual suspects. And be sure to check her out on Facebook and follow the band as they get ready for this big tour. So, with that, well, thanks so much, Rachel, again, for taking some time to visit with us. It's been a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we look forward to
Thank you so
catching up with
much.
you again on the road.